This video will be for complete beginners who are finding some of the fundamental calisthenic movements very challenging and they are trying to add more variations to make them easier to start with. And also for intermediates who are finding these movements not as challenging as beginners and they are trying to add variations to make them harder. There are mainly three types of calisthenics: static movements, dynamics movements, and sets and reps. The main focus of this video will be sets and reps, which covers most of the fundamental movements like push-ups, pull-ups, dips, and so on. Every movement we do with sets and repetitions. Push-up is by far the easier and the most common movement in calisthenics. That's why I wanted to keep the first video's focus on push-ups. It's a very beginner-friendly movement, and let's understand why it's an easier movement compared to pull-ups and dips. First of all, when we perform push-ups, we carry about 65 to 70% of our total body weight. We carry 100%. When we do dips, we also carry 100% of our body weight. That makes push-ups way easier compared to the other movements. Since it's an easier movement, it's also one of the more common movements because more people can perform this. But it does not mean it's not a challenging movement to many beginners, and we can add variations to make them easier and harder. Let's start with the easier variations. Probably the first movement comes to mind is knee push-ups. You perform the regular push-ups, but instead of putting your feet on the ground, your knees will be on the ground. It makes the movement way easier, but I don't actually recommend this movement because after a few repetitions, your knees will start to hurt and it's not really teaching you the proper form of push-ups where you will be placing your feet on the ground. However, if you can still do them if you like them and if it does not hurt your knees, and of course if you're happy with your progress, but it's not something I recommend. We can start with incline push-ups instead. You're on your feet, you're not on your knees, so you're actually learning the proper form of push-ups. The idea with incline push-up is that your feet will be on the ground and your hands will be at a higher position than your feet. The higher the slope is, the easier the movement will be, because by increasing the slope, we carry less percentage of our body weight. Okay, so how do you start? Probably the best and easiest movement will be wall push-ups. We'll be placing our hands on the wall and our feet will be on the ground. I would definitely recommend doing this at least for 15 to 20 reps. And once it gets easier, we will just follow the idea of decreasing the slope to make the movement harder. So from wall, you can start doing push-ups on your dining table. You can move to your couch. You can place some books on the ground and perform push-ups there. And eventually you move down to a regular form of push-ups. If you want to do your training at the gym, I found the Smith machine to be very useful for improving your strength and push-ups. You just place the bar at a higher position, and once you improve yourself, once it gets easier, you just lower the bar and lower the slope, which makes it harder, and eventually you will be able to do regular push-ups without any problem. This covers how we can make push-ups easier. Now, what do we do after we improved ourselves where we can perform 10 to 15 reps of push-ups, of course, with a proper form? We need to find different variations to make it more difficult. The first movement I would recommend will be decline push-ups. It is the exact opposite idea of incline push-ups that we did to make push-ups easier. When we do decline push-ups, we will be placing our hands on the ground and our feet will be at a higher position. Again, you can use pretty much anything you have to place your feet, like your couch, your chair, etc. The higher your feet are, the more difficulty you will face while performing decline push-ups. However, I do not recommend going extremely high because it makes it very challenging to actually maintain a proper form while performing decline push-ups, and you might injure yourself. Also, when we reach a certain height, we can just use different variations, which will be way more effective. The second movement will be pseudo push-ups. When we do regular push-ups, we place our hands approximately at the level of our chest or a little bit lower. However, when we do pseudo push-ups, our hands will get closer to our hips, and the closer we get to our hips, we'll have more difficulty. While doing this movement, keep your hands sideways instead of straight. You'll just decrease the pressure on your wrist, and it will be an easier movement on your elbows and your wrist, and you'll unlikely be injuring yourself. Finally, we came to my favorite way of making push-ups harder, which is simply to add more weight and increase resistance. If you're performing this at the gym, you can just add more plates on your back. I would highly recommend you ask someone for help on placing the plate on your back because as if you try to do it yourself, you'll just get so tired in the process and you'll not be able to use your potential while performing the weighted push-ups. If you're performing this at home, you can simply find a backpack and fill it with some books, water bottles, anything heavy you can find to perform weighted push-ups. You can also use resistance bands to make push-ups harder, which is kind of the same idea as weighted push-ups. You can change the resistance of the band over time once it gets easier and easier. In this video, we covered some variations to make push-ups easier or harder. I hope you found this video helpful for your progression. Personally, my favorite movement was weighted push-ups. Which one was your favorite? Please comment below and I'll see you in the next video.